we are City of Sanctuary. Schools of Sanctuary and Colleges of Sanctuary is part of City of Sanctuary. And if you go to the next slide, Thomas. Yeah, so the purpose, we've been running these meetings since September. For anyone that's been involved with our organisation or wants to find out more, or is just generally interested in sharing good practice around education for refugee pupils and building sort of cohesive, more welcoming communities. Usually in our meetings, we have some learn opportunities and updates from us as a project. We hear about the Sanctuary Award. We hear from guest speakers from relevant organisations that you might want to get into school. And it's just a place to make connections as well between schools. And we've had quite a lot of schools sort of pairing up as a result of these meetings and sharing good practice. So today, on today's agenda, we've got, I'm doing a bit of sharing. We've got Daniela, who's the EAL lead at Co-op Academy Priesthorpe, which is, I'm aware, is kind of on the border between Bradford and Leeds, but we're working with them because there's nobody in Leeds overseeing schools of sanctuary at the moment, and it's great to have Daniela and her experience. We've got Sharon, who's from the Anne Frank Trust, who will introduce herself in a minute, and we've got Sadhana from Bevan Healthcare. I wonder, because Sharon, you said you've got a bit of an issue with your mum in an ambulance. That sounds very dramatic. Whether you would like to go first, so then you can do your bit and then do what you have to do if you need to
Yes,
go.
please, because I'm hoping that the ambulance won't arrive before I've
Oh, I'm
finished
so sorry. What a
speaking. So,
nightmare.
yeah, today's been a bit more dramatic than I would otherwise have hoped it might
Okay.
be. So,
Well, if you have to drop off, that's absolutely fine.
okay,
Yeah, just do
okay,
what you need to do, but very grateful that you can stay here.
okay.
So I think, Thomas, you've got Sharon's slides, haven't you? So yeah, it's very poignant that Sharon is here with us today. It's the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz, and it's Holocaust Memorial Day, which we hadn't actually done deliberately, had we? When we
No,
were
it
coming
just
to
sort
this
of
meeting.
felt that way. In fact,
Yeah,
I've just
so
been at the Bradford Holocaust Memorial commemoration at City Hall this morning with some of our young people. So,
oh wow. That's brilliant. Well, I will hand over completely to you, Sharon, and go on mute and let you do what you need to do.
brilliant, thank you. So, like Kate said, my name's Sharon Hattersley. I work for an education charity called the Anne Frank Trust, and I'm their education lead for West and North Yorkshire. We work with state schools across the country, focusing on young people aged 9 to 15, so year 5 through to year 9 for the main body of our work. And we have various programs that we can bring into your schools, which I'm going to go briefly through in a moment. All our education programs are free for state-funded schools, and I'm able to work with 8 schools per quarter, so that's usually 4 primary schools, for secondary schools, and I will put my email in the chat before I disappear if anybody is interested in getting in touch and talking a little bit more about what we can offer and working with us. If we could go on to the next slide. So we, as I said, we are an education charity, and we are our mission is to tackle all forms of prejudice and discrimination, and to empower young people to do that as well. But sort of through and inspired by the life of Anne Frank and the Holocaust, and her experiences during the Holocaust. And as Kate said, today is the 80th anniversary of the liberation of Auschwitz. Otto Frank was the only survivor from the secret annex. He was freed today, 80 years ago. If we can move on to the next slide, thank you. So as I've already said, we work with young people who are aged 9 to 15, and that's because they are the age group that we have researched and know we can have the biggest impact with. And there are 2 main programs that we deliver. One is called History for Today. The other is called Voices for Equality. And at the heart of both of those programs is peer education. So what we do is all focused around young people sharing what they've learnt and challenging other young people to also tackle prejudice and discrimination. And we've got some young people on the top left there with our Holocaust Anne Frank exhibition, which is History for Today. a young person receiving some mentoring in our ambassador program in the middle there, and two secondary students working on their workshop that they were going on to deliver to other students in their school. If you can pop onto the next slide for me, please. So History for Today is a physical exhibition that we bring into school. It's made up of up to 31 panels, which tell the story of Anne Frank and the Holocaust and a little bit of the history that runs up to what brought about the Holocaust. We train up between 12 and 20 young people as tour guides for the exhibition. So they spend 2 days with me and they get a sort of an in-depth knowledge of Anne's story. And then we leave the exhibition with you, and they then put tours on in small groups, between 4 and 6, depending on the number of panels we've got and the age of the students. And that exhibition stays with you for up to 2 weeks, and you can invite in whoever you would like to invite in terms of other students, teachers, parents, governors, the wider community, local councillors, MPs. It's completely up to you. It does need to be in a space that isn't used for other things, so it can't go in anywhere like a dining hall or a PE hall or a gym, and that's just because there's too much of a risk of the panels getting damaged, and it's quite expensive to replace. And we go on to the next slide. So I'm not going to read it all out for you. I can send this PowerPoint through to anybody who wants to share it in schools, but that just kind of breaks down what we cover in History for Today. We can go on to the next one. So Voices for Equality is a 2-day classroom-based program, and we can work with up to 30 students. Now they can be like all from one class, or it can be a couple or like students pulled from different forms or different classes within a year group. And we look at Anne's story, the impact of the Holocaust on her life, and they then but also on more modern day prejudice and discrimination, and probably most importantly, how to do something about it. And they have support from myself to put together some form of peer education. So that might be an assembly, a workshop, a community event. I've had groups that have created sort of books of poetry, anything that's creative that shares their learning with a wide audience as possible. Do we go on to the next slide, please? So this is again key points of what I've sort of just described in terms of what Voices for Equality covers. If we can hop on to the next slide. So again, as well, History for Today is more of a historical programme. Voices for Equality definitely is the one that has the more modern, looks in more detail at how prejudice and discrimination still affect people today. Can we move on to the next slide? So the formatting's gone a bit dodgy on this one, but as well as those two core programmes, which are both free, so you can have either or of those two, you will also get a day of workshops, and those workshops can be with the same young people that we've already worked with, or it can be other young people across school. At primary level, we offer 4 different workshops, and these are between an hour and 90 minutes to 2 hours, depending on how much the young people have got to say. And at primary, they're available on gender equality, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and homophobia. And we're currently hoping to start piloting a primary racism workshop as well, but that's not quite ready to roll out just yet. Can we move on to the next slide? So secondary, we offer the same 4 workshops that we offer at primary, but we also offer workshops on transphobia, anti-Black racism, ableism, and misogyny. The misogyny workshop is a minimum that needs to be a 2-hour slot. The others can be delivered between an hour and 90 minutes, depending on your school day. So in a secondary, we might do them sort of an hour slot and repeat it 5 times during the day and try and cover a whole year group. Or you might want a particular group of students to do a combination of those workshops. We're currently hoping to start developing as well a secondary workshop on xenophobia as well, which feels particularly poignant at the moment, given the violence and the riots that we saw earlier in last summer. Can we move on? So any young person who takes part in either of our core programs, so Voices for Equality or History for Today, can apply to become what we call an Anne Frank ambassador. And that is a young person who is committed to doing something about prejudice and discrimination. They apply through submitting an application form, a personal statement, so basically saying why they want to be an ambassador, and something creative, artwork, creative writing, videos, anything that shows how they've connected with Anne's story. Those young people who become ambassadors, they can be an ambassador from when they join, so it can be anything from 9 up until the end of the year they turn 16. So for most young people, that's the end of year 11. They get a mentor. So part of my role is to provide workshops and programs in school. Part of my work is also mentoring young people to put on their own projects that tackle the particular forms of prejudice and discrimination that are really important to them. We do study sessions online, so there's an online workshop for them each month, and day trips and residentials. I was with some of our ambassadors at City Hall in Bradford this morning. Some of my graduated ambassadors are at the official Holocaust Memorial Day commemoration in London at the moment. We took ambassadors to Krakow and Auschwitz, and also to Amsterdam and to Windermere last summer. So they're also, and all of those opportunities about being an ambassador is free. So they don't pay for any of those things. And I'm quite jealous of you guys all getting to be with Tom Palmer tomorrow, because we're good friends with Tom Palmer and he's done some great work with us. So you're in for a treat tomorrow. I think that's the last slide. So really quickly, if anybody's got any questions, I realise I've just thrown lots of information at you, but yeah, I'll hand back over to
Thanks.
Kate.
Thanks, Sharon. I mean, what a brilliant program. I feel like I only recently heard about the Anne Frank Trust. I think we connected, didn't we, Sharon? Um,
We did.
it's a phenomenal offer. I've got a few questions, but I will open it up to anybody on the call. If anybody's got any questions about this, running it in their school, how it would work, practicalities, feel free to ask now.
Oh yeah, I really like the idea of the exhibition. How long in advance do you need to like book it in?
Um, that's a good question. My copy of the exhibition is booked up now until September. So the sooner the better, because some schools will will have us back in each year, and so once they've had their exhibition, they'll book for the same time the following year. So I've got a good availability September onwards, but I'm pretty much fully booked at the moment, certainly for the exhibition, until the end of this academic year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Can I just clarify, Sharon? Did you say it was all free? Is the
I
exhibition free?
I did. I
You
did,
did.
yes.
Okay. That's
So we've got a fantastic education team that puts on the programs that we deliver, but we've equally got a fantastic fundraising team whose job it is to raise the money to allow us to not need to charge schools for coming in and doing the programs. That's why I'm limited to a certain number of schools per
yeah.
quarter because of funding. But
Yeah, I think you offer such a range of workshops. When you gave that list on the screen, your coverage is amazing. And yeah, it's just so important I've been thinking about it a lot today, about thinking about history and how we, well, try to learn the lessons from the past and sort of put them into practice today. But these sorts of things, particularly given it's so peer-led, are really, really important, valuable things for children and young people to engage with. So I think so. Sharon's put her address in the the Zoom chat. This is all recorded. The minutes will go around, your email address will go around, and your PowerPoint will go around after the meeting as
Brilliant.
well. So if anybody's got any more questions, shout now. Otherwise, we'll say thank you very, very much to Sharon. Yeah. Oh, Ralph. I don't think we could hear you last time, Ralph. Maybe your microphone's not working. Do you want to type it? Do you want to type it? Or you could email Sharon directly if you want. Write it on a piece of paper or hold it up. Okay, Sharon's email address is in there and I'll send everything round. I'm sure you can liaise directly, Ralph. I think you were interested about running that at Oasis, weren't you? But that's great. Thank you very much, Sharon. Do feel free to stay on the call or jump off if you've got your mum to sort out. But I hope she's
Thank
okay.
you. I'm going to jump off if that's all right.
Yeah,
but
absolutely fine.
lovely to meet everybody. And yeah, if anybody wants to know anything more, drop me an email and we'll see what we can arrange.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you very much. That's great. Thank you. I'm going to shift the agenda around a little bit now and jump to Daniela at Co-op Academy Priesthorpe. So Daniela is the EAL lead there. Usually in these meetings, we try to have sort of primary teacher, a secondary teacher, someone from another organisation, who all everybody plays their part in helping some of our pupils seeking sanctuary in the Bradford District kind of integrate. And Daniela, your role is very much at the front facing part of it all. So if I hand over to you and do think of any questions for Daniela, you have. Often we find people use resources that we've never even heard of, though we've been doing the job for decades. So yeah, I'll hand over to you, Daniela.
All right. Hello. Well, thank you very much, Kate, for inviting me. So I am Daniela Faldusova. I know my last name is a bit of a mouthful, so it's all right. I didn't even write it there. So I lead on the EAL provision at Co-op Academy Priesthorpe. So Priesthorpe is, as Kate mentioned, a borderline between Bradford and Leeds. Although our postcode is Leeds, we have lots of students from Bradford. And I'll try to share my very humble presentation and see if I can do that. Let's see. So I just wanted to talk to you about what we do at Priesthorpe. And first, maybe I would like to talk about our school. So, as I said, we're in the middle of Leeds and Bradford.
Sorry, Daniela. Is the screen coming up for anybody else? Yeah. Oh, there it is. Brilliant. I can see it.
Is it there? Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. So our student body is quite diverse, as you can imagine. So we got 33% of students who speak English as an additional language. And majority of our students are Urdu and Punjabi speakers. However, we've got about 37 languages being spoken in our school. So we have few other languages that are quite rare, like Shona and Persian or Yoruba. So I'll just go to the presentation. So if it's not working, oh, there we go. Okay. So we run induction program for our new to English and early acquisition students. This program is 1 week, and students learn basic skills during this program. So language of classroom or school survival language. They are introduced as well to our main staff, their classroom teachers, their coaches or tutors, the head teacher, their year manager, the attendance team, so that if they need to do anything or if they struggle with anything, so they know where to go. As well, we show them around the school how to find a classroom, where is canteen, where is library. We have a library session during this induction program to show them where they can't find the books and how to take them out of the library if they want to take them home. Then during the induction program, they prepare a presentation about themselves. Then this presentation is used later on during like a parent event, but I will talk about that later. During this program as well, students who are new to English or early acquisition are assessed during this program. So they just write basic assessments or a CATS test. For the assessments, I use the assessment from the Leeds City Council. As well, I use a Bell Foundation assessment tracker to assess the students. So when I gather all the information about the students, about their background, I send an email to all the staff with the proficiency levels of the students and some classroom strategies that they can use in their lessons. At this point, towards the end of the 1 week induction program, those students are allocated a buddy or a young interpreter, because we use a young interpreter scheme, which I recommend for everyone to use. So after the 1 week induction, students are introduced to mainstream classes and they're put on their mainstream timetable. However, they are still supported in the lessons and they're taken out of the lessons for intervention. Unfortunately, it's once a week for the students, and it's due to lack of resources and stuff. So for our students who are Band C and D, we still have some support, and there is a form of homework club that they can come anytime after school and do their homework or go over anything that they struggle with. So I've mentioned a young interpreter scheme already. So I absolutely love this program, love this scheme. So we run it once a year, usually beginning of a year, the first term. So we have like a pool of new students, usually from year 7, of who are interested in other years, but usually from year 7s. So then we have ongoing, rolling a pool of students that we can use for the buddy scheme. So they then act, the young interpreters, when they're trained, they act like buddies to new arrivals. And they help out during apparent events and maybe the displays or around the classroom, around the school as well. Cool. So we've got multilingual competitions. I've entered in the past mother tongue, other tongue with my students. This competition is run by Manchester Metropolitan University, and is a really good event if you want to promote multilingualism or promote a pride in students' first language. That is a good way to do that. I've even done a display for this year in the library for this competition. So I've mentioned that the students during their 1 week induction, they write a presentation about themselves, and that is then presented during a parent information events that I usually run twice a year. depending on the new arrivals or how many new arrivals we have during a year. So it's usually one in October and then one towards the end of a year, like June. So during this event, parents are invited and they get information about the school, homework, best person to contact, attendance team or year manager is introduced, and they get information about ABA and parent pay. So these events are for for parents of the EAL students who we have come during our school year. The students present their presentation about themselves, so that kind of teaches them a little bit of oracy and self-confident communication and presentation skills, so which is nice. As well, I didn't put it on the slide there, but we've organised heritage language GCSEs as well, as probably many of you do in your schools. And we do have after school Urdu and Punjabi extracurriculum lessons every week, so twice a week. The students have the opportunity to come and study their maybe first language, or it might not be first language. We've had students who joined the Urdu and Punjabi lessons just out of curiosity and tried to learn those languages. That's about it, what we do at Priesthorpe for new to English students or students who speak English as an additional language. So I'm just going to stop sharing now, or I could leave it there.
Yeah, leave it there for a minute.
If you have any questions about anything, I could answer.
Thank you, Daniela. That's absolutely brilliant. It's so encouraging to hear of all those things you do. I've been in, I think, 3 secondaries this week in Bradford, and none of them have new to English or English as additional language provision yet, and are on the cusp of sort of just setting stuff up. So these sorts of things and just sharing what works, I think, and what's sort of been tried and tested by your fellow kind of neighbour schools, I think is such a valuable recommendation. Has anybody else use young interpreters, that young interpreter scheme in their school on the call? Nope. Great. Have a look at that. I've certainly never heard of Lister Park, Ralph says. Yeah, you've used that. Oh, that's good. I've never heard of mother tongue, other tongue.
Yeah, mother tongue, other tongue. It's really, I think there is one run by Sheffield University, but we always apply for the one in Manchester. So that's one to look at. It's quite good. Yeah, and then they have a celebration that you can then take at the end of a year that you can take the students to, and they have their workshops, poetry workshops. So how it works is that the student either enter the mother tongue, which is they use a poem or a song from their mother tongue, and then describe it in English, why they chosen it, why is it important to them. And then the other tongue is they can enter actually whoever studies the language, but they have a limited languages, so they usually have the French and Spanish and German, but they have others as well.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. I've dropped in the chat the link for mother tongue, other tongue, and the link for young interpreters, but we can, as I said, we'll pass all this round anyway. If you have new to English or EAL coordinators in your school that you think any of this would be relevant for them to hear, if that's not your particular role in school, do feel free to pass them on. Ralph says there's no GCSE in Slovakian.
No, it's not. No, there's limited. Yeah, there's not in Romanian either, or Czech, that it's my first language. But yeah, there are many others that you can. There's one in Polish.
Okay.
I know it doesn't.
That's great. Has anybody else got any other questions other than me? Or comments? Yeah, Amira. Oh, hello, Amira. I'm not sure I've said hello to you. Linking Network. Great to see you. Hi.
Hi. I was just wondering, what are the main differences, or are there the main differences that you see in children who feel very supported in learning English, and not just supported at the beginning, but through the progress? How does it, sorry, through their school life, how does it seem to impact them at school?
All right. Well, they got more confidence, I think. They pick up the if they got the basic skills of English, or if they learn English alongside, because if students are new to English, it's a massive task to take on, because they need to learn the language that they don't understand and the curriculum at the same time. So you kind of give them a bit of a leg up if you can tutor them in that second language, if they can understand a bit more. They need to collect loads of vocabulary. It is, I think, the rapid there's a rapid progress in the first 2 years. You can see them really coming on, but then there's a bit of a plateau around the C and D band of thing, because of they can grasp the social skills very quickly with their friends and everybody. However, then the academic side of it is a bit trickier, which then in terms of EL provision, that needs to be put in practice, that they need to focus more on academic writing.
Would you say it has a big impact on them maybe socializing with other groups of children at the school?
Yeah, as well, because especially if I've got like a year 8 group that they always come together for intervention, and during lunches and breaks they are usually together, this group of students, which they probably wouldn't otherwise, because they're completely from a different countries, from a different backgrounds, and they probably wouldn't be together or wouldn't be friends, but they feel like they got their supportive group of that they're in the same boat as you would say. Yeah.
Okay, really interesting. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'm muted. Just realised I'm muted. Thank you, Daniela. If you have any more questions, I'm sure we can share email addresses at the end. And Daniela will be happy to advise, but some really good advice there. We're now going to flip to Sadhana, who I've invited. She has a wealth of experience of working with families and young people sort of outside of a being in school all the time context. And I just think it's a really helpful perspective to hear. At Schools of Sanctuary, we often do a bit of the translating in terms of things that get miscommunicated between schools and parent communities and vice versa. And I think, Sadhana, you often have a lot of, I'll let you introduce yourself and share your wisdom.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kate. And it's so fantastic to hear about the really good work that all the schools are doing. I think that's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for inviting me. Like I said, I work at Bevan CBS. We're an inclusion health practice based at Piccadilly in Bradford. I'm just going to tell you about some of the support that we give as children and young people and families here at Bevan. We have a programme called Your Space. And that program, it's a weekly drop-in, so no appointment necessary. You just come in on a Wednesday from 10 till 12, and people such as organising such as Red Cross, Refugee Action, the Refugee Integration Team, Migrant Help, who are here to support with e-visas, the Family Navigator. I think it's up to 15 to 20 agencies that have signed up to support the drop-in. On average, we probably get about 40 people at the drop-in, all different types of support. And it could be, finding a school in the local area, registering at a GP practice, reuniting with family overseas, all sorts of different things. So that's, I can give Kate that information if you want to pass that on to your families, and that would be great. Please, use that resource, because it's a fantastic resource. And more recently, we've just the e-visas have created many challenges for lots and lots of people. So today I've been talking to Migrant Help, who are going to come and support on a couple of weeks at a time, maybe weekly, but at the moment every 2 weeks, to help with those queries. And she's going to sit down and support those families. So we've got your space. I also work quite closely with Education Access Team, Ransom, Richard and Mohammed and Amy. Any new families that have registered with us or with the Education Access Team are invited to come in. So we do this on a monthly basis. Anybody who's waiting for a school space. So we talk about all the first of all, the Education Access Team talk about what the system looks like. What being educated in the UK, what does that look like? What are your expectations as a young person, as a parent? I talk about accessing health in the UK. How do we do that? All the different additional support services for children, young people and families in Bradford. So I give them that information. I usually know what the age ranges are prior to them coming to the session. So what I do is I put a pack of resources together for them. So in there would be pens, pencils, crayons, something arty and crafty, a couple of family games, and something that might support their learning prior to. And this is mainly for the parents, because this is what the parents wanted. Something, I don't know, they might want some reading books or phonetics or whatever, but I still do have a really good balance between something arty crafty and something that's focused on learning. So I give them a pack. Any parents that come in to the practice and in the time of your space, we give those people, I ask them what they want. You know, is there anything that we can help with in terms of their learning? And we buy lots of resources to give those in people, because if they're in the hotel or they're in a very confined space, what do you do with that young person or family? So we give lots of information around other freebies in the city centre as well. The library has lots and lots of resources. We've got volunteers who speak numerous languages, so we use our volunteers to get that message across as well. So that's sort of the support that we do. And our family navigator does an amazing job. She'll see anybody from 0 to 21, and if they've got any special educational needs, see that young person until the age of 24. So really some really hands-on support there. We also work with Solace. We've got a counsellor called Bryony who comes in twice a week actually, and we offer counselling for young people, and you have to have a referral from your GP, so they need to come in to the practice themselves. As you all are aware, lots of our young people have suffered some trauma, some PTSD. So sleep is a really big thing for our young people. So we've hooked up with our local PCN 5, and we do some sleep and yoga sessions. So we're trying to get some young people to come to that. At the moment, we've only focused on those unaccompanied minors. We've tried to advertise it in the holidays, but we've just had nothing, not a bite, because we do appreciate young people are at school. So we thought we'd do something in the holidays, but we've just had nothing. Some of the challenges that our young people, some of the challenges are, I mean, Daniela, it's really interesting to hear what you said, is they feel quite isolated. I mean, all of this, everything that I'm going to say is from those young people themselves, and just having conversations, having co-produced a lot of our resources that we have. It takes a lot of the time to be accepted in a school culture, and one of the girls just said to me, I just want to be like everybody else, but the language is definitely a barrier, and they're not always don't always make friends easily. They're not always invited, and culturally there's clashes between what parents are and the young person wants. We have a lot of parents who are, this is what we would have done back home. You won't be going out with this mixed group to go bowling. but now we're in the UK, we want to go out, and it's absolutely fine to have a friend who is the opposite sex, but that is still a challenge for us. And we do use our volunteers and we call them wellbeing mentors who have lived experience, who are still living the experience, to explain to that individual, to that parent, it's a safe environment. But this all takes a lot of time. It's about trust, isn't it? Trusting that. I think they feel like the school community is not always aware of their journey to the UK. And maybe that's, we haven't shared that widely enough, or we're not able to share that. But some of these people have had horrific journeys, and we get to know about it because we are a GP practice. And to feel safe in the UK, I think we have to understand that actually it's just not an asylum seeking family that have joined your school. There are a huge amount of challenges that comes with that family, that young person. We have young people that have travelled for a year and a half to get to the UK, tortured. They could have been smuggled here. There's so many things that have happened to that young person, and then they're here, aren't they? So they don't always feel that people understand. And the other side of that is when people do understand, we ask them again, what was your journey like? So we are revisiting that trauma again, aren't we, as well? So it's chicken and egg here as well. So some of those young people, I don't want to tell my story again. So we are big into trauma informed practice, to support that young person. We feel like some of the young people feel like things are done to them. They're not part of the decision making process. And sometimes things are not explained, but that's with adults as well. Some of the families don't understand the process. What is going to happen when I get to school? Some of the families have said, can we have a look at school? What does school look like, in the UK? And I know Ransom and his team were going to look at that before they get a school place. It's not that they want to refuse that school. They just want to know what it looks like. Because the first time that parent might enter that school environment might be a parents' evening. So it'd be nice to know what happens at lunchtime, what happens at break time. Is there a pastoral team? And I don't know if that's happening in your schools, but that was really definitely a conversation. And like most of you, on this team, on this call, is we talked about interpreting, which is always a massive issue, isn't it? Finding the suitable interpreters. We try not to use family members to interpret because we just think that's not. We've got other interpreters here, so that's why we try not to do that. Just because we don't want to revisit that trauma again. Finances, a lack of finances means that they limit the experiences. If a group are going bowling or to the cinema or whatever that's happening, they don't always have the resources to be able to do that. Even if the child has a bus pass, the family might not have a bus pass. They might want to drop them off or pick them up. So finances are a massive thing. Some parents feel that they don't have the language, and I think Daniela, you were saying that, and we do a lot of work with those parents. Whatever language you speak in that language, give them those experiences. It's fine if it's not in English. Give them much access to English as you can. Smother them in the English language, and we do give lots and lots of reading books out. I've got some really nice school friends who donate their books that they don't want to have anymore, so they can take those away. But definitely it's a confidence thing with the parents, and they always feel as though I don't have the language to support. Learning is difficult at home. If they've got 2 or 3 children, you might be in a hotel room, or you might be in an accommodation provider where they've got one room, so you might eat in that room, you might sleep in that room, you might not have a table to work on, you might be doing your homework on a bed, or how that that learning space. And we do say, come in, if you want to come to Bevan, you can do, we can support you in that. But then that extends their day as well, doesn't it? So just to make people be aware that this is a really good thing. Parents have massive high expectations of their children, which is fantastic. And sometimes they're not realistic, they're unrealistic. They come to the UK and everybody's going to be a doctor or an accountant, which is great. So it's supporting those things as well. I think it's fantastic when they've got these fantastic, expectations of their children as well. IT is a big thing. I know we talk a lot about digital poverty. We've got things here that we loan out to parents, but we don't have huge amounts, and at the moment we've got none. Or we use Solidaritech, who gives us tablets or laptops that they can use. But a lot of the homework that we're expected to do are on using a device, so that is a struggle. Or even after school clubs and things like that. They just don't have the funds to be able to do those activities that are not funded. And you guys, I know you do a fantastic job offering lots and lots of activities that are free, 100%. I must acknowledge that. But there might be some things that they want to do that's funded that they're not able to do. So that's that. For those parents with children with special educational needs, that's a challenge for them. They don't know where to go. And this is not this. I'm just making you aware of how parents feel. I'm not saying that we're going to solve this in this group, but they actually don't know what to do. What support is available? What does it mean that my child has, this condition? How can I get help? And it's and we do a little bit of work with some of those parents. If you've got autism, we talk about routine, or we might do a visual timetable, those sort of things. But we're not teachers, we're not educationalists, so we can do a little bit of work with our occupational therapy team, but not huge amounts. And then we do have a fantastic directory of services with Welcome to Bradford, which obviously Thomas knows, City of Sanctuary support. So we've got Welcome to Bradford and Free Things in Bradford as well. They're fantastic resources. And the people that come to us to our Living in the UK sessions, we always make them aware of the translate button. It's a button so they can, it's not all in English. So just to make people aware of that. I think that's about it really that I wanted to say, and I just wanted to say thank you for everybody for supporting our young people. I think it's absolutely fantastic, the work that we do under some very, very challenging circumstances. The capacity is forever reducing, and we just have to be mega, mega creative, and then some more. But if there's anything that I can help with, if you want to come to Bevan, please come and visit. Just drop me an email that you want to come and visit. I can show you around, especially on a Wednesday. I know you're all at school, but if you wanted to come at any time, you're more than welcome to see the services that we provide. If it's the holidays, we do give any parents coming into the practice. We have lots of families that come in. We do distribute a list of free things to do in Bradford, walking from wherever they are. We do provide that service, and we have the 4 wellbeing mentors who we don't call them social prescribers, we call them wellbeing mentors, who are really committed to supporting our families, children, and young people as well.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Sadhana, goodness, it's so helpful to hear, and I feel like all the stuff you reeled off was kind of the stuff that would make you a school of sanctuary. Looking at trauma-informed practice. Being aware of the school community intentions and language and translators and finances, and making sure that people are involved in the decision-making process. There's so much there to unpack. And I think it's really, as you did at the end, to acknowledge the challenge we face in schools, limited resources, as you said, limited resources, limited time, best intentions, but just such an important reminder of all of those things. As you've been speaking, I've dropped about 10 links in the chat.
Thank you. I saw that. Thank you
Things
very
like
much.
Your Space, Migrant Help. We'll send all
Yeah.
these links out separately on the minutes as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to pop your email address, Sadhana, in the
I will do.
group chat now. I'm aware we've got up 5 minutes. I wanted to quickly share a few events coming up, but I also don't want to stop anybody from any burning questions they want to ask you face to face. Has anybody got anything they would like to ask right now before we move on? Otherwise, follow the links, look at the minutes, send an email. But Bevan are an incredible resource we have in our city that do a phenomenal amount to support. So yeah, it's great to take them.
And if anybody feels like, there's a gap, my shoulders are very broad, I might have got it all wrong. If there's anything, if you identify a gap, please let me know. We're here to work with everybody and try and fill that gap. I'm really happy to do that.
Thank you. Brilliant. We'll send all those links on. Right, whistle stop, 3 minutes. I'm not going to keep you long. Nearly time to go home and cook tea. So Thomas, could you just quick on to so we can move on from that one. Just wanted to show you really quickly an amazing new website called Reboot Education, Global Learning, which maps out all the kind of interesting global learning days that you can see on there, like International Day of Education, Holocaust Memorial Day, and has learning resources. You don't have to go to the website actually, Thomas. Maybe we'll just move on to the next slide. It has like learning resources, there we go, for each of these days that occurs throughout the whole year. So you could do it like a calendar, or if you go to the next slide, Thomas, you can also choose any topics you're interested in. Click on, it's all free, click on the topic, and then if you go to the next slide, Thomas, so I don't remember what I clicked on here, I think I might have clicked on peace or something, and then it kind of collates all the learning resources from across the whole website, I don't know, from the whole of the internet, to get some really interesting things. So it's a brilliant resource. I've really enjoyed playing with it recently. So would really encourage you to have a look at that, Reboot Education, and I'll send the link around to that. Thomas, we go on to the next slide. Thanks. Valentine's Day is coming up, and that means orange hearts, Schools of Sanctuary. The orange heart is the symbol that is synonymous with standing in solidarity with pupils who are refugees, and that's Atlas Primary School in Manningham there, who got a drone to take a picture of the whole school standing in a heart. But it's just an opportunity. If I send around these slides, that is actually a hyperlink, the words Valentine's Day at the top, to our whole dedicated webpage on lots of different social action ideas, arts, crafts, poems, assemblies you can do to kind of talk about migration, talk about sanctuary, and how you might want to link it with something around that kind of time. Orange hearts. Next one, Thomas. World Book Day is also coming up. Again, that's a hyperlink there to our World Book Day resources, or you can just Google World Book Day, Bradford Schools of Sanctuary. We've got, this is just like a third of the page, we've got loads and loads of different key stage related reading materials, books, recommended activities, ideas, videos, just really centering the stories of people, because I feel like once you understand people's stories, that's just the best way to develop any kind of empathy and understanding as to why people have to leave their countries. So yeah, some schools who are working towards the award particularly use World Book Day as an opportunity to really hone in on this and use it. Yeah, that's a display one school did last year. Coming up as well, it's not too late to think about June Refugee Week. The theme is community as a superpower. That's like a national theme. Again, that's a hyperlink to the website. There will be a Schools of Sanctuary event linked with Bradford 25, which we'll send info about soon. That's Refugee Week. And then training. This all went out on our half-term digest. We send around training anything to do with English as an additional language, or disrupting disinformation. That was about exploring misinformation in the curriculum and critical thinking. But again, if you've got our digest, this is all on here, on there. If you want to sign up for it, let me know. I'll pop my email address in the chat. It comes around every half term and just has a whole list of things that are really helpful. And we go on to the next slide, Thomas. Really recommend, again, this is on the digest, these animations by children, for children. sharing experiences from Syria and Ukraine. It was just recently done by Northumberland County Council. Again, great little stories and videos with children at the centre of them to share. And then you probably know lots of that stuff on this blog, but I found this blog really helpful from the Bell Foundation. So the last one, Thomas, or is there one more? Oh yes, and not to forget, so this will be up on our Communities of Practice website, and then whoever's sort of spoken at the meeting, we capture their little video and we put it on a spotlight on Best Practice webpage, so we can see what everyone's doing and the good practice around our district, all available on one website. I think that's the last page, Thomas. Brilliant. Well, the next meeting is Monday the 24th. If you could put one thing that's been helpful in the chat, that will be very, very helpful for us. You don't necessarily have to put what you want, thing you might follow up, but you could. If you could do that before you leave, that would be great. Sorry, there's not been so much time for discussion at the end, but I think we had a few really helpful questions and stuff in the middle. We'll send around all these things. But thank you for your time. Thank you for your commitment to young people and children. And